Welcome back to Evolution
Unscripted.
Today we're going to talk about red flags in friendships.
Oh.
Have you have you ever had friendships that you felt maybe were not aligned to your morals or certain standards that you have had either for yourself or you've held others to? Or have you ever felt like you were compromising maybe your integrity with friendships? Let's talk about it.
hmm
Have you ever had any friendships like that?
Oh, yes. I can't think of a specific one, but I would say one where you don't really agree, let's say with I don't know, the way they are, but you're like, "Oh, well they don't have any friends or I'm their only friend." And so you
Mm,
still stick around because you feel bad.
yeah.
And now you're compromising your integrity to go along with because, or you want to be maybe part of the bigger crowd because it's a cool girl kind of clique. And you're like, well, I want to have friends. I think my younger self was more of like having, I would think that having more friends was cooler than not having enough friends.
Mm,
As I've evolved, I've seen that all you need is one solid good
yeah,
friend.
yeah.
And when you start seeing those red flags, you start kind of like, okay, that's not really for me. As you start maturing and growing, like, oh, I really shouldn't put up with that.
Yeah.
And so you start kind of taking steps back, and slowly those relationships fizzle out.
Mm-hmm.
And the real solid ones that are aligned to your goals, your integrity, kind of stay. And actually, I was talking to my sister the other day how it's crazy how really seeing those red flags early on is important because who
Yeah.
you surround yourself is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're compromising your integrity, you're setting yourself back to achieve certain goals.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't have people around you with the same mindset, you're also delaying all your goals
Yeah.
that you can achieve at a younger age or faster because you're surrounding yourself. You are who you surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were saying how it's so crazy how, again, the younger self would have looked at stuff like that and
Yeah.
changed it immediately, but we don't know in that moment. And so I was telling her, like, if we were talking about how maybe like investment properties would have been a thing and there was opportunity to do so. But again, having people in your life that didn't have that mindset, they weren't thinking about future, they're thinking about more the present
Right.
and like the satisfactions that you're getting from going out,
Like
having
fast
dinner,
living.
fast living,
Mm.
versus thinking of, yeah, let's balance it out. Pick a little bit about the past because that's who made you, the present because we're here now, but also think about the future because we're going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of the times we look at those red flags and we're okay with it.
Yeah.
Last time you said,
You like dismiss it.
yes, last time you said something like that you would say, like, oh, that's just how they are. And I
Mm-hmm.
think we do that a lot. Well, that's just how they are. They're still my friend, they're a good person because we're looking through those flaws, but sometimes they're not just flaws, they're like big red flags.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing that I would say that I didn't like always have people that had the same goals and mindset. So you kind of set back to the same
Yeah.
level. Mm-hmm.
And also because like in that sense, when you think bigger, they may make you feel even possibly dumb for it
Mm-hmm.
or like it's unachievable
Mm-hmm.
because they can't foresee that for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you start to doubt yourself
Yes.
because like you said, you're a part of that circle, and if they don't see it, then maybe it's not the type of thing you guys would do or accomplish or
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um
What about
yeah,
you?
that's a really good one. I think for me, it's more like, and only because I was recently talking to one of my friends about this, is like who you surround yourself. And this particular story had to do with like cheating and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I think I would have a very hard time like hanging out with someone that is doing something like that
Mm-hmm.
because, first of all, I'm married.
Mm-hmm.
And like I would, God protect my marriage and all of that, but I wouldn't be okay, or I wouldn't be the person that you can come to and be like, hey girl, like
Mm-hmm.
guess what, like I met this guy or I hung out with it, especially knowing that you're married.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely would try to be, that sound advice, like don't do that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not okay with it, and I do think that that's not something I would be willing to compromise. We've talked how I've always been very vocal,
Mm-hmm.
so I'd make it very clear. And at that point, it's on you. Obviously, you're gonna feel uncomfortable to tell me
Mm-hmm.
because you're gonna know that I don't want to hear it. I don't want to be a part of it. But I would also now pull back because I'm not going to hang out with you and your husband with me and my husband knowing that you're doing that, because I think that's embarrassing,
Yeah.
and I just would want no part of that.
None of that energy around you.
Exactly. And then like somebody had said, um how if someone who can cheat on someone that they're building a life with or have built a life with or have children with, or you know, how can I then trust them to be that loyal to me
Yes.
when I have less with that person than
Their
their
spouse or
spouse?
part.
Right, exactly. So
The person
I
they
think,
vowed to love and to
mhm,
like, for better or worse,
yeah,
till
exactly.
death do us part.
And not saying like, you know, I'm not going to say, oh, well, you know, I know that people do it because they feel they have validation
Mm.
in the reasons
Mhm.
that of what led them to that or whatever. But if you're married, you're married. And also, I feel that there's different ways to go about it.
Mhm.
But people rather try to be sneaky than deal with the conversation of like leave,
Mhm.
or they want to have their cake and eat it too.
Mhm.
And just like that goes both ways. I wouldn't want my husband hanging out with someone that's doing those kind of
Exactly.
things. I
Mhm.
wouldn't want those type of people giving him any sort of advice.
Advice. Mhm.
Um, and same, like, I think, I mean, we've been friends for a long time. So when I've gone through issues in my marriage, I never had or can recall a time where you were like, oh, forget him. Like, let's just go do this, or let's go out, or just like, just in general, never been like, oh, forget him, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
And so I think that too goes to show like the people that care about you and
Mhm.
they see the outside picture when you really can't,
Mhm.
they're going to give you more of a sound advice. And you know, I definitely think that you have to look back at the quality of person of where that
Mhm.
advice is coming from. So if you can't trust certain things, or you can't rely on certain like advice in your friendships, then maybe that's not really, it's just
Mhm.
kind of wasting your time, or like
Mhm.
you said, it's going to pull you away from other things.
Other things.
Aside from that, I would not want to ever be a person that knew something and, you know,
Yes, it's like, you feel that
yeah,
guilt, like,
I even feel like my husband would be like, if, you know, somebody told me something and then it came out, like my husband's gonna be like, wow, you knew that, and
uh-huh.
like you were still chilling with them, like,
Uh-huh.
because I would feel like you don't see anything wrong with that, like on
Uh-huh.
your end, you
If
know?
it was the other way around.
Yeah. And which there's been circumstances like that, you
Mhm.
know? And it's really hard to try to like look past it, and then you can care about them if they're like really close to the family or
Mhm.
in the family or whatever. But you should start to build a certain boundary so that it's not so like intermingled,
Mhm.
because just like anything, your mind can become a little clouded, or
Influenced.
yes, exactly. Just like with anything,
Mhm.
just like with ideas,
Mhm.
morals. You know, right now, so many things happening in politics. So who you're surrounding yourself is really like planting seeds, and depending on, you know, what it
Mhm.
is, it's not always a good thing.
Mhm.
And so I think that once you see that red flag, that you really stand your ground. Um,
Really self-reflect, like, do I really is that really me too? Do I
yeah.
stand with that? Mhm.
Exactly. And and even on that, like there's friends that I don't agree with on certain things, and even myself that people may not agree with on certain things, but it is it worth not being friends for that
Mhm.
reason,
Mhm.
or are they things that we can set aside?
Mhm.
Because there has been family that has said like, okay, like if you don't believe this, or you don't, basically if you don't have the same idea that
Mhm.
they do, they want nothing to do with you. And that's where I think like, well, that would be very sad, because God forbid, but if there was anything you needed and I could help you,
Mhm.
I definitely would, without thinking twice, regardless if we believe the same thing,
Mhm.
regardless if we see eye to eye on certain things.
Mhm.
Again, now depending on what it is, but I would be there for you. So
Mhm.
I think knowing and realizing the difference, and then also setting those boundaries accordingly,
Mhm.
or just removing yourself entirely, especially if they're not like a genuine friend,
Yeah.
um, then it doesn't really matter. And you
Mhm.
would see that,
Mhm. You
you
can
know.
feel it.
And
Mhm.
people who are doing things they probably shouldn't don't want to be around anyone that's gonna either not hold them accountable, but kind of bring light to,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
the issue or the sin or whatever,
Yeah.
um, they'll themselves, I believe, start removing
Themselves
themselves. As
slowly.
long as you're not just like biting your tongue on certain
Uh-huh.
things,
Or
you
you
know, you
start
have
standing
to.
up for yourself and like, hey, listen, I don't agree with that.
Right.
Mhm. No, yeah. I think that's like a total valid point because, again, who you are with, regardless of the situation, you start thinking like them. You start seeing, like, oh, that may be okay if they're
Yeah.
doing that. I'm going to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely don't want that in friendships or
Yeah.
relationships. And so it's something that we want to teach to our kids too, to see
Mm-hmm.
those red flags early on, to not compromise yourself.
Yeah. And like you said, it doesn't matter, um, like if you have a lot of friends or a little bit of friends, like have quality friends.
It's the quality.
And for me, I mean, we've talked about this before too. It's like my mom was like, nobody's your real friend. So it's been, that has been easy. Like, okay, cool,
Mm-hmm.
not done, done.
Uh-huh.
Um, where I guess kind of going back to the other conversation of like, not everyone's after you.
Uh-huh.
There were relationships that didn't have to end,
Mm-hmm.
but I was like, nope, no more effort. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I maybe handled it differently than I could have, but I think that has never been a reason for me to be friends or like
Mm-hmm.
compromise certain things, because
Because there
I
was no
felt
red
like,
flag, or there was red flags.
no, even when there
Or,
was,
mm-hmm.
like, if whether the other ones I'm saying I could have possibly handled differently, when it wasn't that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
I could
Maybe
have
you got
agreed to
defensive.
disagree,
Uh-huh.
right? Yeah. But the ones that I did feel like I was pretty good of, like, okay, cool, like
Uh-huh.
we won't be friends anymore,
Yeah.
you know.
Uh-huh. You're more like, oh, okay, whatever. You don't want to be a friend? It's cool.
Yeah.
I'll find
Yeah.
another friend. Here.
No, yeah, I just feel like, and especially now more than ever, even people that either God puts in my life or has been removing, I'm like, I trust you. You know
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I need. You know exactly, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and He will deliver without failing. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think even more so when I seen like I had some, not, I guess they're not family, but they kind of took a step back. And at first I felt like a little, um I guess a little hurt.
You took
and
it personal.
I was like, you know what, like, it's fine, because at the end I don't want anybody who's not 100%.
Mm-hmm. For
And
you, you know?
exactly, and at the end of the day, there I go again, I was a good person and genuine to them. So, like, you know, if
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't worth it to
Mm-hmm.
them, then that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel very at peace with, like, okay, God, I trust you.
Uh-huh.
So place and remove as
Mm-hmm.
needed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, again, no
Yeah.
questions asked, do,
Do.
and I will just, you know,
Mm-hmm.
walk, continue to walk with
Set the
you. Yeah.
pieces how you best see fit.
Hmm. And he does. So
Uh-huh.
that's why I'm like very grateful, because
Once you
we
surrender, he
did a lot of
does.
hiking,
Uh-huh.
and so that's where I was bummed, because also I really liked hiking, and
Uh-huh.
so they were like my hiking people.
Uh-huh.
And so and I prayed so much that when they came into my life, like, again, I felt like, oh my God, like, you really brought them back so that I can start hiking, because my whole goal was to start moving, and I was having a hard time with moving
Mm-hmm.
and doing any sort of
Uh-huh.
exercise. So when they were removed, I did feel like I lost my
Mm-hmm.
hiking
Your
people.
hiking buddies.
And
If you're new here, and you missed the why I'm not a big hiker is because she likes to go butt crack of dawn, like 4 or 5 in the morning, and I'm still snoozing at that time. And or I get up early during the week, but I'm doing other things, and she already done did errands and everything, her hike that early in the morning. So,
yes, yes.
mm-hmm.
But then recently he just put others in my life again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been so grateful, because I was like, oh my gosh, only, I've never told anybody this, but only he knows that I was feeling it, like, dang, like, maybe you just put them in my life really quick to get me going,
Mm-hmm.
which has been, you know, a little inconsistent, but it did at least get me going on some aspect of, you know, moving and becoming a little bit more active more consistently than not. um but then again, now that I have, like, you know, new
A couple
hiking
more
buddies
buddies.
and stuff like that, it's really nice. And
Uh-huh.
it's like, okay, God, like, you knew my heart, you knew how I was
Yes.
feeling, and that's not even something I prayed on.
Uh-huh.
It was just like he
He
knew.
felt it.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like so grateful for that, and with more reason, like, yes, do what you got to do, because I
Uh-huh.
know it's all gonna work out anyway.
In your favor.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Friend, you're so beautiful.
Oh, you're
Aw.
so sweet.
You are like you're just glowing. I mean, you're always beautiful, but today you're
Oh,
just
thanks.
glowing.
Oh, I put like extra blush. I'm like, I'm
Even your eyes are
pregnant.
sparkling.
Aw, you're so
Oh,
sweet. You're so beautiful too. We're
stop.
together. Aw.
That was a good one.
Oh.
Mhm, mhm.